Okay, guys, I think I got all my streaming issues figured out here. And I am live. Okay, let's go. All right, a little loud, I know. Y'all aren't used to the engine noise. Hopefully, y'all can hear me over the sound of the engine noise. Arrow X, how's it going, man? I see you up there. Thanks for watching, man. Sorry, I know I'm trying to get the stream all figured out here. I'm not a very solid streamer. Don't have a very good rig for it. So, anyway, I'm here at the helipad that I've placed down at Whiskey X-Ray 74. This is Duma in Papua New Guinea. And I've kind of dressed up the airfield here. Kind of cool. And I have a ton of uh, helipads in the area, just like this one. So, without further ado, we're going to weight and balance. Make sure we got a good payload here. We got enough fuel. All right, payload weight. That looks good. Resume flight. So technically, taking off from a pinnacle pad like this, it would be an out-of-ground effect hover, even though the sim doesn't register that. All right, so we're checking power right now. I know because this is simulated that that's in-ground effect, so it's saying about 55% on the torque meter. So all we're going to do is clear cells left. Oh, there it was. I went off the pad and I went out of ground effect. Nah, it requires a lot more power, 80% power actually. Clear cells right. And we know by virtue of the fact that there's nothing behind us that I'm also clear back, so I'm just going to kind of Alright, we're off. Alright, about nose on the horizon will give me a nice climb attitude at a decent power setting here. I got real world weather right now, so this should approximate the weather conditions in this region at this time. It's kind of cool. Seems a little blustery. Alright, I'm going to force trim my cyclic. So I just click and hold my force trim button. I bring my joystick back to its center position on my desktop. And now we're trimmed for forward flight. So the first stop today is going to be a confined area landing site that I've created out in the wilderness here of Papua New Guinea. Should be somewhere off our 12 o'clock down inside the lowlands here. Should be pretty easy to spot when we're in the general area because there's a yellow rooftop. Should be coming into view any second now. I'm expecting it to be down there at like 1 o'clock. There it is. Pretty tight LZ. Just do some circling here, get it on down and slowed down. Alright, I've already force trimmed back. I'm going to force trim again right now, and there it is, just force trimmed. So it should make it nice and easy when I'm in a hover. Alright, still got some airspeed. We're going really slow here, so nose is pretty much into the wind. So we're just going to kind of drift over. Power's looking good, about 75%. Alright, we're mostly over the pad now. I'm going to drift forward towards this building because I know I can see that. The closer I am to that building, without hitting it, the further away I am from those trees behind me. A little too close, actually. There we go. Gonna start drifting back now. Get well within the confines of the Helicircle. There we go. Rotor blades are pretty solidly inside the circle, so I know I'm clear of all obstacles. Phew! I got the low skid option today. Alright. As always, per my MO, I like to see how close I got to all the surrounding obstacles. It's not too bad. A little close to that building. Rotors are outside the arc there. It's bad practice in my opinion. You can see that the trees kind of break the plane here. Of course, I mean, obviously the trees are, low quality, but I have to imagine that there's that the tree follows that radius right there, so. But after everything was said and done, I got the helicopter right over the H, so that's cool. Let's just watch that terminal moment one last time. So a little shaky there, yeah, you can tell. Phew! Oh man, that's ugly. Anyway, don't mind that. Alright, we're back at it. Power's coming in. I'm already adding left pedal. A little bit of left cyclic. Alright, as before, about mid-50s for power required in ground effect. Gonna go to about 80 for the climb out here. There's 82. Just gonna kind of let the nose fall to the horizon on the attitude indicator. We just lift off like that. Not a problem. And now I can feel myself having to fight the tendency of the helicopter to want to nose up with an increase in airspeed. So I'm going to force trim it out of my concern. There we go. I've force trimmed, so now my joystick is centered, and the helicopter is holding my cyclic forward for me. Makes it much easier to fly this thing. Way less labor intensive. All right, you can see there's a tower up there, which means there's a associated helipad. Got a healthy 75% torque in. Gonna raise the nose to increase that climb rate, trade a little bit of airspeed for altitude. We're gonna go for 55 knots. There it is right there. Drop the nose again. Hold 55 with pitch attitude. Force trim it. Alright, we're gonna circle back into the mountain here. Combination of looking at the mountain and my instruments to make sure that everything's I basically look at my airspeed indicator about as often as I look at my speedometer in a car, so it's a pretty regular occurrence. Okay, we're co-altitude with the helipad now. Power's coming out. Power's coming back in as I slow down. I'm going to force trim it. Press and hold the button. Center my stick. There we go. Nice and easy. Yeah, these helipads, they look a lot better now when they're all dressed up. When you can't see down the side of that mountain, for example, all the way to the bottom because there's just no foliage. You know, with the foliage, it just adds a level of realism. So it was really cool when I figured out how to add all that. A little close to those bushes, so I'm going to raise it up and back down the pad. In fact, I wasn't able to relax my my pressure on the cyclic, my aft pressure on the cyclic, because I was afraid of whacking those bushes. So we'll see how close I got. I might have actually hit them when I landed initially. Okay, there it is. Collect is full down now. Releasing my pressure on the cyclic and resetting my force trim. Let's see how we did. And we'll bring it in. Hey Nutty Rabbit, thanks for watching, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I would have hit those bushes, especially these two on the what it would have been the left-hand side when I was sitting there. Excuse me. And you can see him nosing forward into those bushes. Barely clearing those tops right there. This is where I decide to back up. Alright, and she's down. Alright, power's coming in. You know, just for shits and giggles, we'll change the weight and balance here. We'll take weight away for this next landing. Done, and apply changes. Alright. Nutty Rabbit, yes, yeah, mainly helicopters. But occasionally I'll fly fixed wing. It depends. Like I was flying fixed wing. I was flying the Beach Baron into that airfield back there that I took off from Duma. Okay, back to the takeoff here. Power's coming in. We'll call it a confined area takeoff. It's just like before. We raise power as necessary to start a climb. I got plenty of extra power here since I'm a little bit lighter than I started. Get over the treetops and you just... Obviously I could have gone down the back side of the cliff, but I've never exited this way, so I just kind of wanted to try that since I had the power for it. Yeah, so you just get over the obstacles and you nose forward and off you go. My next LZ is on the top of that peak over there. Alright, getting a little labor intensive here with the sticks, so I'm going to force trim it, press and hold the button, and then I let go, and it is force trimmed. I might have to trim it again because I think you probably saw that, but nose down a little bit. That's not ideal. So now I'm actually having to hold back, so I'm force trimming again and recentering. So now that's a much more neutral position for me. It's awesome. Hey, Nutty Rabbit, can you hear me okay? I'm not, I just not very good at streaming. I don't have very good hardware for it, let alone the know-how. So if my voice is okay, let me know. If the aircraft audio is too high, let me know. Or if you're not hearing the aircraft at all, let me know. All right. We're going to do a flyby, slowing down as we do it. Awesome. Thank you, Nutty Rabbit. All right. Doing the recon. Everything's looking good. We're just going to bring it in right over the cliff. Almost went up into the clouds right there. I got to force trim the aircraft here, so, and there it is. Force trim a decelerative attitude in. We know the LZ is to the right of the tower from this direction. All right, starting to come into view. Adding power is needed. As I slow down, the aircraft wants to descend. Requires more power. It's called effective translational lift, ETL. And now we are practically through it. Going to force trim again. There it is. We're just going to ease it on forward here. Nutty Rabbit, yeah, it's a lot, man. X-Plane 11 is takes a lot of setting up, and honestly, the user interface has improved quite a bit, but still just takes some getting used to. So after I land here, I'll give you some suggestions. Just bringing it down nice and easy. Having the aircraft trimmed helps a lot. Nutty Rabbit, are you more focused on helicopter simulation, or do you want fixed wing like jets? What kind of simulation do you like to do? All right, there we go. We're down. Resetting my force trim. There it is. All right. Yeah. So Nutty, the biggest suggestion I can give you, man, is that for each aircraft or aircraft type, what you want to do is you want to set custom keys for it. So go in, delete everything, and then as you fly, and you're like, well, how do this is a key. Basically, you're gonna find that your fingers are gonna want to go and do things on your joystick and your keyboard to do different things, and sometimes that key is set to a different button. So just delete that, set in the key that you want, and then what you'll do is you'll go to either when you're up here at settings and you're at keyboard, you can go active profile down here. You see this? I got Bell 407. So I have my own profile set to the Bell 407. If I go manage profiles, you can see I got one for the AS350. I got one for the Bell 407. I actually use the Bell 206 setting here too. So if you look, I got my favorites, the Bell 206 Jet Ranger. Both have the 407 profile. So, and you'll see that when you first start flying helicopters, for some reason, the axis for the throttle is reversed. So, collective full down, which is basically, in layman's terms, your up and down control in a helicopter. On your joystick, full down position is the joystick throttle all the way up. So what you're going to want to do is when you go to joystick, You'll come throttle right here. You see this reverse axis? You want to click that for all your helicopters. Make sure, like, just set an active profile for helicopters, and then all of them will have the reversed axis, and that'll make it more natural for you in the flying helicopters. And of course, you know, any other buttons that you want, you can set specifically to each individual aircraft, or generally you can just be like, I want all fixed-wing aircraft to have these set of keys, and all helicopters to have these set of keys. So once I figured that out, X-Plane got a lot more enjoyable to fly. All right, power's coming back in. Raise my collective. Nutty Rabbit, this thing right here, that's the collective right there. I'm using the throttle on my joystick to control that. I got a twist to use the anti-torque pedals down here. And then, of course, the actual joystick controls the cyclic there. Oh yeah, and that thing circling right there is called the cyclic. So now you know that about the helicopters. And if you're going to keep watching, the biggest thing I watch right here is my torque meter right there. I'm looking to keep it out of the caution range, which is yellow, and I generally never, ever want to go above the red. I use airspeed a lot, and also at high altitude, I really have to watch my main gas turbine temperature. Right there. So I want to keep that in the caution no more than 2 minutes, and generally always in the green if possible. And then right here is the main rotor speed. You'll see that as I'm decelerating, the rotor needle right here always goes up, and I want to try and keep it underneath the red. If it goes higher than that, you'll hear a tone, and that's bad. All right. So power's coming in. Whenever you take off in a helicopter, you gotta generally have to pull back on the cyclic because the rotor disc is tilted forward. And also you have to add a little bit of left cyclic because of the, at least in American-made helicopters, because the tail rotor is blowing you to the right. So you gotta fight that tendency. All right. So in ground effect hover right now, IGE. Power required is different than out of ground effect, so close to the ground versus high above the ground. So we're at 55%. It's pretty good. Oh, you know what I never did? I never changed my weight setting. So I'm going to go up to weight and balance. Going to go payload weight. We're going to crank it all the way up and see what we get here. Apply changes. All right. So my torque meter was showing about 55%. I don't know if you're able to see that or not. But power's coming back in with full payload here. We'll see what we get. There, now we're up in the 70s, and I haven't even gotten the skids off the ground. Way heavier. You can totally feel it. Skids are touching right in the 80s. Really heavy. Barely flying right now. So, all right, let me force trim it. All right. All right, right below the caution range. I'm going to basically eke the power up as far as I can. We're right in the caution. We're really high in turbine temperature, and this is undoable. All right. All right, so I had to abort that takeoff because my turbine temperature was right below the red there. As I was looking at it, I was right at just shy of, or just over 90 there on the percent of torque, and but I was redlining my the turbine temperature, so would have caused an engine failure. So we're coming back power in. All right, that's better. Still requiring more power. We're just shy of 70%. For in-ground effect hover, we're still in the green for engine temperature. Power's coming in. We're just going to slide out the way we came, right over this hill. Oh man, good thing I had the low skid option. Sheesh, that was pretty bad. All right, okay, and we're airborne. Awesome. Hey, Nutty Rabbit, I've been flying on simulators, man, since Flight Simulator 2004, I think. Um, I messed around on Flight Simulator 95 way, way back when I was a kid on somebody else's computer. Which is probably what got me hooked. Anyway, yeah, so flight simulation since Microsoft 2004, helicopter flight simulation like study level, probably since 2000, so some time now. And I'm actually currently attending Army flight training for the United States Army, and I'm actually on my lunch break right now from ground school. And here in about, let's see, it's 9:45. Here in about an hour, I got to leave, and I'm going to the flight line to fly the real deal. So, just kind of a pretty big aviation nut, man. I love this stuff. Even on my lunch breaks, I'm freaking flying these helicopters. So, kind of silly. I do have to say though, flying flight simulator has helped me get a very develop a very good understanding of the different physics, the different things that are going on with a helicopter. So it's been helpful, I have to say, learning to fly the real thing. All right, so I got a good torque setting here. I'm into the wind. Main gas turbine is in the green. I appreciate it, Nutty Rabbit. We're just going to kind of slide in here. All right, now we're in the caution range. Really want to get out of the caution range, so we're going to enact this landing as quickly as possible. I'm looking at that tree straight ahead, trying to line up the edge of my screen with this tree on my right as I bring it straight down. There's the pad. Don't overcorrect. The ground should be a surprise. There it is. Okay. Going to replay that. Let's see here. And I'll bring it right here. Fast forward it. Oh, you can see I was out of trim right there. That's annoying. I don't know if I like the low skid option. It looks kind of funky to me. All right. Okay, power's coming in. Still got a heavy load on. Confined area takeoffs are a lot more dicey when you're fully loaded up, so we're going to go up into the we're green on torque and slowly rising into the caution range on temperature. We're over the trees. Let torque do its thing. We rotate out, dive down, lower our power, bring the engine temperature down. There it is. All right. We'll go off to the next confined area landing. This one's going to be a little bit further away. So we'll try and speed on over there. Actually, I can already see the location. Way off in the distance there. You see that little dip in the hills right there? A little tower up to the left? The next LZ is in that dip. So we're at 7,000 feet right now. Right on the edge of, actually we're in the caution range for engine temperature. There we go. Just required a little bit of a reduction of collective. But you can see main gas turbine goes into the caution about 720 degrees Celsius. There's the airstrip. Oh. Jeez. I can feel the wind is pushing me to the right here. So I'm going to have to crab into it to make it to my, my spot up there. Alright, trading airspeed for altitude with a little aft cyclic. As I slow down, the tendency of the nose to want to drop is pronounced. Caitlin Penny says, is X-Plane, besides maybe DCS Huey, the best simulation for helicopters? You know, I mean, obviously you already gave a shout out to DCS Huey, which is a good simulator for the DCS Huey or whatever helicopter that they have created. So in my opinion, X-Plane is probably the next best thing, and for generally every helicopter out there, you know, DCS Huey is very specific to the Huey, you know, and all the other helicopters that they have currently modeled, and their weapon systems and all that. That's great. But what you don't get in DCS Huey is you don't get procedures. You don't get you know, like I can do IFR approaches, which I've done in X-Plane using real life IFR approach plates. So, you know, I don't know. In my opinion, X-Plane is probably right now the best sim for simulating helicopters. Just because you have a variety of helicopters to choose from. You can actually go to anywhere in the world and fly those approaches. So, and then of course you can do this. Like I created this down here. This confined area down here was a creation of my own imagination, using readily available software that has been developed for X-Planes. So, not that you can't do mission editing in DCS, but I don't know. Yeah, in my opinion, X-Plane is right now it's unmatched. Okay, so I've been doing a couple orbits here, checking it out, getting lower and lower, slower and slower. So, I'm going to let torque do its thing as I slow down. There's torque coming in. Power is nice and high now. Alright, I've arrested that right yaw rate with left pedal. I just force trim my my hover attitude here. Oh, I killed all my airspeed there. That was bad. Gonna nose down to drift forward here. We're just gonna kind of nicely enter the LZ here. Alright, my rotor disc by now should be fully inside the circle. I'm just gonna let myself drift nice and easily forward to the H. Okay, alright, so this is a sloped landing. You see how the you see where the slope is? So either I land fully uphill or I land with my left skid low. And in this case, as I fight the tail rotor to the left, I hang left skid low. So I'm going to, since my left skid's lower than my right skid, actually, yeah, that's wrong. I want to have the slope. That was a downward slope to the right on that direction. So now, here we go. Since my left skid's lower, I have less distance for my right skid to touch, and less distance for my my left skid to touch. So now I'm just going to lower the cyclic here, or the collective, until that right skid touches. I'm going to plant it. There, it's planted. Alright, now I'm holding the helicopter level. As I lower collective, I'm going to use right cyclic to maintain level attitude. It's very finicky in the sim. Oh, who am I kidding? It's finicky in real life too. Alright, that's how you do a slope landing. And so if you have slope limitations in the helicopter, I don't know what it is for the Bell 407, but you look here and each hash mark is 10 degrees right there. So this is just over 10 degrees. I would say just shy of 11 degrees, between 10 and 11 degrees. In the helicopter I'm currently flying, the left slope limit, which is my greatest limit, or sorry, my most loose limit, I guess you could say, the one that allows me the most latitude, is on the left slope, and it's 11 degrees. So I would, as I'm lowering the collective and putting in right cyclic to hold the disc level, basically I don't want to get to the edge of my travel before I reach 11 degrees, because if I do that, then I'm stuck on that hill. So in this case, I'm good. I'm going to replay that. Oh, wow. Jeez. Here we go. Fast forward it. Kayla, I think this is where I was explaining to you, there we go, the differences of the sims. I don't think I had any issues clearing the trees there, and I did not. Oh, this is another thing that I really like, is that I could come in here and I can review my landings. So this is where I started assessing that this was a sloped landing. So then I mistakenly turned the helicopter to the right. And if you're looking at a slope, if it's a right slope, it's descending to your right. If it's a left slope, it's descending to your left. So looking at the slope this direction, it was descending to my right. And I thought about it, I was like, wait a second, I have more distance for my right skid to drop because I have to fight the tail rotor with left cyclic. So my left skid is always lower than my right skid in a hover. So there. Now we're set. Plant the right skid. hold it into the hill. I'm not very smooth at this, of course. There it is. It's planted. So now watch the rotor disc. As the airframe drops, as the right or left skid lowers to the ground, the rotor disc should stay more or less level. You see that? It's staying level. And of course, I don't have enough practice doing this in the sim, so I'm not used to the control inputs required. But basically, what you're looking for is by the time the collective's lowered, you see that? Look at that. Now I ease my pressure off the cyclic, and the disc goes level. So what you're looking for is the left skid to touch the ground before you've reached the limits of your cyclic travel. Because if you can't keep the disc level with the actual horizon, then you run into all sorts of issues, which I should remember right now, but I'm having a hard time, so I'll have to get into the rotorcraft, aviator's manual. But okay, anyway, that's embarrassing. All right, but you guys get the idea. Okay, so right cyclist coming in. My disc is tilted way down to the right. I don't know if you guys can see that, but my disc is, as I add right cyclic, it lowers. So now I'm going to add power with collective. And as the skid comes off the ground, I reduce the cyclic pressure as needed. Until I'm level with the actual horizon. I'm just not good at this. Sorry, guys. All right. There it is. I'm level. Power's coming in. Not very pretty. You don't want to be sliding around like that. You can cause a dynamic rollover. All right, checking my power. Power's all looking good. All right, confined area takeoff. We got no options here, so it's just going to be straight up and out. So power's coming in to max available. If needed, I'll go into the caution. Temperature on the gas turbines rising, and it looks like it's holding steady right in the middle of the caution range. We're just over the trees. And now I reduce power, bring everything back into limits, and we dive on out of there. All right. So there's another LZ right up here that we're going to fly up to after my engines cool off. Went back into the caution range to get up over that mountain, which was unnecessary. Alright, this will be another slope landing. Just shy of the tower, there's some buildings in the grass there, or in the trees. It's kind of an open area there. Let's see. Alright, I got about 50 minutes, guys. So I put these towers out here to help me remember where all my my LZs are. It also kind of gives the scenery kind of like a reason to exist, you know? So we're not landing in there. All right, I can feel the wind is blowing me away from the LZ there, so I'm gonna nose into it. We're gonna come into the LZ, into the wind, which is right about here. We're gonna lower ourselves into it, and then we'll pedal turn to enact our slope landing. Drifting So wind is coming more from this direction. We just lower ourselves nice and easy into the landing area. It's pretty spectacular slope here. All right, we're clear tail right, so we'll rotate left. All right. Everything's feeling good. Power is good. Temperature's good. Well, let the aircraft settle into the ground here. Ah. Didn't want to have that forward drift. Okay, right skid is firmly on the deck. This is going to be more than 11 degrees, I can tell. This looks like a 15-degree slope to me. We're just going to lower. Okay, let's see how that looks. That's kind of cool. This is where I really cranked the power on to get up and over this ridge. Didn't need to do that. I did one orbit to check it all out. I could feel that wind pushing me. All right, now I'll change the view again. I like to go into replay mode, if only just to make sure that I didn't clip anything. You know, it's like I like to say the honor code in X-Plane. You know, you just have to be honest with yourself. Did I hit that? Yeah, I'd probably be dead right now. You know, because there's no collisions really with anything but the ground in X-Plane. Unfortunately, it's probably a good thing too. All right, so now I'm rotating into the direction of the slope that I want to land on. Remember, I drifted forward quite a bit, much to my dismay. All right, watch that rotor. Watch that rotor again. More or less should be level with the bar up there. Now I start to relax my my lateral cyclic input, and it should go perpendicular to the airframe. There it is. All right, we're back in it. Oh, that's nice. Okay. All right. Right lateral cyclic. Uphill. Start slowly adding collective and reducing the cyclic input. Probably want it to be a little bit slower than that, but that's all right. That's just me wigging out because it's a simulator and I don't have very good control touch here. Okay, we're in the ground effect hover. Adding max power. Going straight up. Looks like our exit's going to be to the left, so that'll be downwind. Just let ourselves slide that way. There it is. Yeah, you know what how I feel about AFM is I appreciate it. I appreciate that they did that. It's laughable in some regards. I totally agree with that assessment. I don't know if the comments are going to be visible after the video posts. So, Kaylin Penny says, I imagine as well as the advanced flight model is laughable in ARMA. However, I feel like they got some things right. For example, the whole slope landing technique that I demonstrated. And then he also says, I feel like you still have to consider a lot of factors that affect real-life helicopter flying. And yes, I agree. What I like about advanced flight model in ARMA is that there's no other simulator that fully couples getting shot at with having to manage the flight dynamics of a helicopter. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's pretty hairball, you know, and it's pretty intense when you're playing other players. You know, I know DCS does it to a certain degree. It's not quite the same though. You know, you're getting shot at by aircraft and machine. Whoa, looks like the weather changed. I got advanced, or not advanced, match real world conditions up. I hate that flickering. I gotta fix that. Anyway, the only thing I don't like about advanced flight model, my biggest gripe with advanced flight model is that most aircraft have systems that help stabilize it, like the Black Hawk, for example, has a ton of stability augmentation systems in it. So does the Chinook, you know. And in ARMA, none of those systems are really simulated, so you still have to fight all of the normal aerodynamics that are present. They're present in all the actual real-life helicopters, but actual real-life helicopters have stability augmentation systems built in. So you don't get a full systems simulation like you would, you know, in DCS or man, where am I going here? I thought I had like a little village down here somewhere that I could land to. I'm trying to find it. Well, anyway, the slope landing thing in ARMA is, I mean, it's definitely there, but the consequences of getting it wrong aren't there, you know. There's no real, I guess I have dynamic rollovered in ARMA, so that's something. Alright, I think I found my spot. But I still like the fact that the flight physics are simulated, and I think they do a pretty good job of it, to be honest. They even have a version of force trim there, which is awesome. Here we go. This place is tucked away. I couldn't find it. So there's a windsock here. We're going to check that out. So the winds are coming in from my left. So we're just going to fly right on by. So since the winds are in from the open side, I'm going to bring it back in around this direction. Slowing down now. So we should more or less be into the wind now. Power's looking good. A little fast, coming back. We're going to ride ETL all the way down. A little slow, dropping the nose to gain airspeed. Ah! I'm just going to abort that approach because I came a little high and I started dropping through. You know what Arma does simulate, which I think is really cool, is vortex ring state and settling with power. That is definitely something that you don't get in other sims, helicopter sims, is flying a load of fully equipped men into battle, you know, and how hard that is. Okay. Round 2, just over the trees this time. Alright, pad's mostly out of view, just picking a reference point and go with it. Alright, let's see how it looks. Oh, we gotta look at that again. Watch that rotor. It'll start going level with the horizon. Power's coming in now. I'm gonna flail around a bit as I try and find the right curve there. Once I get it off the ground, I get a little shaky. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's another thing you don't want to do is whack your tail rotor into the side of the mountain, you know? So we clear the trees on our left, and we just kind of go that direction. Not very in trim here, am I? There we go. So I'm over here talking advanced flight model, looking for the LZ. I don't find it. A little out of trim there, you can see. There we go. Come in, fly directly over the LZ, check out the windsock. Windsock's looking good. Alright, right here, I was slowing down, and then I just started to fall out of the sky, and I was trying to arrest my descent rate with power, and I started getting into like a settling with power condition. So I just nosed forward a little bit, just a little bit, and I just flew away. Didn't seem like a lot, but it's all you need. Just a little bit of a nose down, and you get yourself out of that condition. Three conditions for settling with power. You're anywhere from 20 to 100% power applied. You have to have a descent rate greater than 300 feet per minute, and you have to be at speeds ETL or lower. ETL is generally 16 to 24 knots-ish. So I had met all of those conditions, and I was descending into essentially my own rotor vortices, trying to use air that's already been used. So I was recirculating used air in my rotor system. and so you can't create exert a force inside of a closed system. So by dipping the nose forward, I gain airspeed, and thus I fly outside of my rotor wash, and thus the recirculating air. I'm flying into new unused air, if that makes sense. So, okay. Anyway, that was kind of cool. That was a good demonstration of settling of power. It was completely accidental. Good recovery. All right, this power's coming in. Oh, sheesh. Come on now. Get it back over the pad. That was ugly. I don't think I reset my my force trim here. There, I just reset it. Oh yeah, that feels different. There we go. All right, power looks good. We got a nice clean exit here, so we're just going to add power. Let the nose fall to about 5 degrees nose down. We'll just fly away. Next stop is straight ahead. That was a pretty excessive nose down there, I just noticed. So we don't need to be really going any faster than this because we're not going that far. So I just force trim this attitude. A bit of a descent in. There we go. Correct that. All right. LZ's in sight. We know that the wind is generally from the 2 to 3 o'clock right now. Obviously, in real life, it would not be coming down the side of this mountain. In fact, there'd be a lot of things to consider on the side of a mountain, but I haven't really learned about that yet, so I'm not going to talk about it. If I was a guessing man, I'd say if this were the leeward side and the wind was rushing down the side of this mountain face, that would be a big deal for me in a rotorcraft. All right, I just trimmed new attitude. Both torque and temperature look good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that one felt good. Actually, you know what? Well, yeah, we'll go. Ah. And I float around the ground effect there for a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to go. After checking everything out. There we go. Right into the wind. Right over the opening there. Plenty of exit space. Cool. Off to the next LZ. You can see the flight path there. Kind of. All right, that's awkward. Not very good altitude management on my part, I have to say. this landing, though. Alright, we're back in it. I got time enough for maybe 2 more landings, I think. I got one more pad that I definitely want to check out. Actually, you know what? Okay, just got to make sure my force trim's reset. Power's coming in. Cyclic. Alright. Power's about 65% for a 3-foot hover. Plenty of power to spare, so we're just going to do a confined area takeoff. We'll just go straight up. Clear these trees. I know I don't have to do a confined area takeoff. I obviously could just bomb out to the to my rear, especially now. We're in the caution range. But I just like to practice these. We're actually going to go this way. Fly away, reduce our power, get our engine temperatures down. And that's like, you know, when you're at sea level, you never really have to worry about engine temperature. It's just at this high altitude, it takes so much more power to do anything that you need to do that temperatures become a big issue. So right now, it seems like my limiting factor is actually my temperature. Normally, in most cases, you know, it's torque, especially at lower altitudes. Wow. All the flying I've done out there. I'm just going to kind of contour follow this this hill, this ridge, all the way up to its peak. Right at the caution range there. Lowering my power, and I'm gonna lower the nose for more airspeed, which should over time give me a better climb rate. There we go. I'm out of the caution range for engine temperature. All right, we're about to the top here. No, we're not. Alright, I don't really have the power or the speed here, so I'm just going to turn away from this slope. I wasn't going to be able to fly up that slope without exceeding my limits. So we'll just fly out here, gain some airspeed, gain some altitude. That's what's so fun about this region and these helipads, is that there's a lot more to think about now at these high altitudes. You're a lot more likely to hit your limits. Rolling back into the side of the mountain. Trading airspeed for altitude. There's where I made my abort, so you can see how high I've already climbed. We're just going to fly right over the trough. And that should take us right over the intended LZ. We'll do a quick recon, see what that windsock is doing. Looks like winds are off my 1 o'clock. So we'll get faced into the wind, and I'll do a quick power check out of ground effect. See how I'm looking for this landing, because we're a lot higher now. We're over 10,000 feet. We're at 11,000 feet, so. All right, bringing it to a hover. Power's coming out. Coming up on ETL zone now. All right, we're in the caution range. But torque looks good. Getting some nice gusts. All right, lower the nose. So I can do this landing if I'm quick. All right, engines have cooled off. We'll circle one more time for the landing. Right, left quartering headwind. Woo! Man, that was nasty. That was nasty. In a very bad way. Oh my god, that could have been really bad. Alright. I realize now that I had a very heavy, I had never reset my force trim, so I was fighting it the whole time. So that was not good. Not good at all. Alright. Let's see. 1031, doing alright. I'm like, nope, can't do it. Turn around. And we climb out, gain a little bit of altitude, some airspeed, trade that airspeed for more altitude, come back in, and now we're talking. Fly past, we see the windsock. Cool. Coming back around to do a hover power check. Alright, we're coming into the wind, we're slowing down. Everything's looking good. I know I got a good power. Looks like, again, my limiting factor is going to be torque. Alright, this is bringing it in for the landing right here. And so this was messed up because I was coming in really fast. I had not reset my force trim, so I was having a lot of aft cyclic. I was fighting the helicopter. And so, and we're going to watch this again from a different angle. I'm kind of into the wind there, you can see it. I got a pretty big flare attitude right now. And I just kind of plop it down onto the pad. Not very good at all. So let's back it up a second. I just want to see it in replay mode. Where is my LZ? Ah, there we go. And you can just see that I was just not slowing down at all, and I pulled way back right there, reared it up, and then I started to sink. You can see right here. I pulled back right there. And come on. Right here. I see that I'm sinking too quickly and I'm going too fast, so I pull it up. Right there, you see the nose rise, and then you can see the corresponding loss of airspeed means steeper descent rate. But by then, I was maxed out on my my power settings, and it'll be interesting to go back and look at the torque meter and see what I was playing with here. Looking at the flight path here, let's speed it up just a quick second. Right here. Okay, so apparently I still had plenty of power to play with. But the fact that I was that much power out right there already means that I was going too fast. I should have been at 80% torque about 50 feet, 60 feet ago. I should have just been going a lot slower. There, I'm starting to climb into the getting really close. Look at that. Look at that. I'm at red line right there because I'm trying to arrest that descent rate. So that's what I was sensing, is that I was at my maximum limit, and I couldn't pull any more power. If I'd pulled more power to arrest that descent rate, I would have over-temped the engine. So yeah, all bad. All bad. All right, it's 10:36. I got about 5 more minutes before I gotta take off. So embarrassing landing. All right. Yeah, I could have come around a lot slower than that, and I could have been more under the wind and then done a pedal turn over. Oh, that's another thing. Once we were landed, I reset my I was over here on spot view, and that's when I reset, and I watch this. Give it a second. Come on now. Huh. I thought I'd had a no, maybe I'm just actually screwed up. All right. No excuses. It was just a bad landing. All right. Let's see if I hit up all the spots that I wanted to. There's one more, and if this was, I gotta lower my weight and balance for this. All right. So we'll go to about 4,000 pounds. We got about 30 minutes of fuel left. Power's coming in. Oops. Out of trim. Now we're in trim. There we go. So basically, I'm just increasing my power until I'm at the maximum max continuous for my engine temperature, which is not there. Alright, looks like basically I want to be below 720 degrees Celsius. Should be climbing right now. I'm screwing around in the treetops. Just eked in a little bit more power, watching that engine temperature slightly above max continuous, backing down the power. What I'm doing right now, terrain flight, when you're flirting around with your max limitations, is considered very risky. Is it worth the risk? In this case, I would say no. But it's a simulator, and that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Just wanted to fly through that little gap. All right, I got a lot of airspeed I can trade for altitude right now, which I am doing. You can see my LZs up there in the top left corner of the screen. There's a windsock over there somewhere. Looks like it's going to be a massive tailwind today. That'll be great. That means that if I want to climb, I should turn into the wind. Alright, I'm turning towards the LZ here. I was over my max continuous, had to lower my power setting there. Let's get a better look at that windsock. Oh yeah. God, that sucks. Alright, I'm going to dress this one up here in the next couple days too, so this LZ will be looking even fresher than it already does. This is just so high altitude. I mean, look at that. We're at 14,000 feet right now. Alright, wind is from the about 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, I'd say. It's going to be a massive, massive tailwind, which is all bad for me. Going to try and negate the wind issue here as much as possible by flying in this direction. I just reset my force trim. So wind is quartering from the right now. Pedal turn over it. That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Whew, all right. Flying out of trim, lovely. Especially when I'm dealing with reduced performance, you definitely want to be in trim as much as possible to reduce drag. So I was trading all that airspeed for altitude there. Doing a nice little recon. And instead of coming straight in at it, I decided coming kind of sideways, which would give me a right quartering headwind, which would increase my performance. I was almost where it was a right quartering tailwind, and you can see it's pushing my tail to the left, my nose to the right, and then blowing me towards the mountain, and I was sinking. So the power really started to come in right about here. You can see that smoke on those towers. I didn't know that. That's cool. So I'm into the wind-ish. Still getting blown sideways, which is what I was looking for. Power is really coming in right here. And now I'm realizing that I have the power to do what I need to, which, good thing too about coming in sideways like this is that I have a nice exit should I need it. Now let's see that again, that last terminal moment. Out the flight markers. Here we go. Awesome. All right. There it is. I got 5 more minutes to get back to the main helipad, so I'm probably going to break some rules here and crush my rotor speed limits. Okay, we got a tailwind right now. Should weather vane nicely into it. All right, going back to the main the main strip here. We're gonna just zoom on down. Been trying to do this in practice, not blowing my my rotor speed limits. Or my airspeed limits, which I'm coming up on. So we just pull back a little bit on the cyclic. Right there at, what is that, 135. So I lower the cyclic, or collective, I have to pull back on cyclic. I'm going to use beep trim right now. The only helicopter I've ever seen simulate retreating blade stall is the AS-350. I wasn't even at my V&E and I freaking flipped over, so I don't think I would be flying this fast in real life without some catastrophic results. Man, you can see we are really trucking along here. Kind of cool. I found that using beep trim in conjunction with my power changes when I'm going this fast is ideal. So right over this ridge is the airport. Should get a nice good look at it. There it is right there. I have to be careful about bleeding off all this extra energy. Right over the windsock. Looks like I'm going to have a direct tailwind if I come in over the edge. Out of trim. Let's trim it up with a little bit of right pedal. Adding power. All right, it's the first time I've done that without blasting through my my rotor limits. Okay, I'm force trimming to a new spot here. All right, we're at lower altitudes, so I got more power reserves, so I'm going to accept that tailwind and just land on the helipad as is. So technically my rotor vortices are flowing past me right now at this slow airspeed, if we could see them. Which requires a lot more power. Just got the fuel caution light came on, which is good because we're at home plate. So if there's any practical reason to land out here on the log helipad when there's a freaking perfectly good usable airstrip up there, but for fun and because it's a simulator, why not? And we'll come in, we'll go Alt-R, and pop it back here. So I was lowering the collective right there, using beep trim to control my Gotta look at the windsock through my chin bubble when I came blasting by it. It's flying a little out of trim right there. That's alright though. And as we whipped it into the tailwind right there. We're home, where it all began. Pretty cool. I really enjoy this area, and these helipads I just keep dropping in are always challenging. So one of these days I'll get it uploaded to the senior portal. Anyway, with that, I gotta go, guys. Y'all take care. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for the chatting with me while I flew, and yeah, until next time, you guys do good and take care.